The things you're going to need to make this fireplace is a box. It can be any size. You're also going to need a hot glue gun and plenty of hot glue sticks. I recommend getting them at Dollar Tree. You're also going to need some paint brushes and sponges. You can use whatever you have on hand. I'm going to be using some dishwashing sponges as well, just to give some texture. We're also going to be needing some masking tape. If you don't have this, you can use a glue stick. And then, of course, whatever paint colors we want our stone to be. So I'm going to be using these four, which is pavement, a nutmeg brown, a gray, and a white. If you don't have these colors, that's totally fine. Choose whatever you like. Now we're going to go ahead and get started on our project. The first thing you're going to do is take your box and cut out a hole. This hole can be as big or as tall as you want. Use your doll for measurements. That way you make sure that you get it the size that you're looking for. After you've done that, we're going to go ahead and work on the top of the box. Now at the top, I like to add masking tape to hold down the tabs. If you don't have that, like I said, you can use hot glue or even a glue stick. The reason I use the masking tape is because you can paint over it. And I just add a little piece on top of the box, like so. And it comes in really handy because then I don't have to glue anything or wait for anything to dry, and I can just jump right into the project and get started. So now we're going to go ahead and start adding our hot glue. To make stones on your fireplace, I recommend looking at a photo off Pinterest or Google just so you can get an idea of what stones look like. Then you're just going to make those random blobs resemble stone. You can make them as big or as small as you want. As you can see, I have a little blob that is going to resemble a small stone. And then I'm going to make an even bigger one next to it. So you just pretty much make a hot glue blob and just make them different sizes and shapes, and you can space them out however you want. I recommend, like I said, looking at a photo so you can kind of get an idea of what you're going for. And really, you can't mess up on this part because once you paint it, it's going to look great. I've made some where it's spaced out. I've made some where they're all close together. It just depends on how much glue you want to use. If you want to use less, I recommend just spacing them out a lot more. So you're going to cover the entire front of your fireplace and the sides if you decided to do so. I'm just going to do the front for now, and we'll see it when it's done. After you've added the stones where you want them, now it's time to let it dry, and then we'll start painting. Now it's time to paint, which is my favorite part. We're going to start with a base coat. To find out what base coat you should use, look at your darkest and lightest color. Use a color in between the two. So in my case, my lightest color is white and my darkest color is black. So I'm going to be using a gray as my medium. Take your paintbrush and do a thin coat all over your box. If you decided last minute that you want to add stones to the side, then just paint the front for now and add your stones and go back and paint later. But if you decided not to have the stones, go ahead and paint your whole project. It's good to go ahead and get your base coat down so we can start on the second coat. If you see any strings hanging off from your hot glue, go ahead and clean those up as well. I tend to see them better when I'm painting. Now that your first coat is done, let that dry and you can start on a second coat. When adding your second coat, you can go a little bit thicker. Make sure to get all the imperfections in this coat. If you can't, you can go ahead and add a third. If you decide to, make sure to keep them pretty thin. It will speed up the dry time. And then it's time to move on to texture. Make sure your project is fully dry before doing this part. Once you've painted on a second coat, it should look a little something like this. Unless you decided not to add stones on the side. I decided last minute to add those, and I think it really made this fireplace pop. You're also going to make sure the top of your box is painted. And it's time to start moving on to textures. Just ensure your project is completely dry before starting this next step. Now you're going to start dabbing on some texture on your stone. So as you can see, I've already dabbed on some brown and some black. So what I'm doing is I'm using two different sponges. One has more texture than the other. So this is just a makeup sponge that I ripped up and a washing sponge that I ripped up. So you're just going to dab it in the colors that you want. I'm just using some white and brown here and getting the color that I want, practicing on the side of the plate, and just dabbing it on my project as I need it. So use a bunch of different shades, you know, really go in with some color here, and you should get something that resembles stone in the end. Once you've covered your whole project in the colors that you've dabbed on, you should have something like this. I decided to go with some light washing at the top. You can do the top however you feel fit. And that is pretty much it. That's all you need to do to get that stone look. Now we're going to paint the inside. The inside of your fireplace, you can paint whatever color you like. I decided to go with black, and I'm just going to pour that inside and take a paintbrush and paint around to what I can see. And after that, you're pretty much done. All you need to do from here is add a mantle or whatever you like to add a little bit of detail. So that is pretty much the finished look. I'm going to go ahead and take a few pictures of it with the dolls and show you what it looks like. And here's a final look at our project. If you want to see more videos like this one, give me a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. If you decide to recreate it, please tag me on Instagram at littlecraftykitty, and have a Merry Christmas.